The winter of 2011 was the harshest I'd ever endured, made worse by the fact that my only home was a battered 1998 Honda Civic. At 17, I became an expert in survival. Which parking lots wouldn't get me towed, how to wash up quietly in gas station bathrooms, and which cafes had free Wi-Fi so I could keep sending out job applications. I had just $143, 3 sets of clothes stuffed into a backpack, and my laptop, the only possession I managed to grab before my father threw me out. His ultimatum had been clear: abandon my dream of building a tech company and join his construction business, or leave. You think you're too good for real work, he shouted that night. If you want to waste your life with computers, do it somewhere else. My mom cried silently in the corner, while my little sister, Madeline, peered nervously from the stairs. My older brother, Marcus, looked almost satisfied as Dad hurled my belongings onto the lawn. Get out, my father barked. His last words burned into me. Come back when you're ready to face the real world. That night, huddled in my car behind a Walmart, I made myself a vow. One day, I'd build something so successful they couldn't ignore me anymore. Days were spent in libraries and coffee shops, devouring YouTube tutorials and online coding courses. At night, I practiced until my laptop battery went dead, then slept in the cold back seat. Eventually, I found work washing dishes at a diner. The owner, Ms. Chen, noticed my situation and let me park out back, safer than the Walmart lot. Sometimes she'd leave leftover food for me, pretending it was waste. You're sharp, she told me once, seeing me coding on a break. Don't let this be the end of your story. 3 months in, opportunity finally knocked. A small startup needed a simple website. I'd been teaching myself web development and took a chance applying. They paid me $500. It felt like I'd just struck gold. I rented a tiny room in a shared house, barely larger than my car, but it had a bed, a shower, and reliable internet. I kept dishwashing by day but poured every night into freelance coding. One website led to another, and soon, I was earning more online than in the diner. One morning, Ms. Chen found me asleep at my laptop. Instead of scolding me, she asked what I was working on. I described an idea: software to help restaurants manage online orders, delivery, and customer relationships. Exactly the struggles I saw her face every day. How much would you charge for that? She asked. For you. Nothing. You've already done so much for me. She shook her head. No. If it's good enough to use, it's good enough to pay for. Let me be your first customer. That conversation shifted everything. Ms. Chen wasn't just my first client. She became my mentor, my advocate, my bridge into the restaurant world. She tested every feature, introduced me to other owners, and gave me the confidence I lacked. I named the company Serves Marta. By 18, 20 restaurants were using my software. On my 19th birthday, I quit the diner for good. The same day a regional chain with 50 locations signed on. That night, Ms. Chen surprised me with a cake. In shaky frosting, it read, "Congratulations, CEO." I'm not a CEO, I joked. Just a kid who got lucky. She shook her head. You survived in your car, taught yourself to code, and built something that matters. That's not luck. It's grit. As we laughed around that small cake, my thoughts drifted back to my family. They still believed the son they'd kicked out was irresponsible, chasing pipe dreams. They had no idea he'd already built a company. Though no one said it aloud, I knew Dad's construction company was barely staying afloat. Marcus, who had eagerly stepped into the business, proved far more skilled at spending money than actually making it. The years that followed for me were a whirlwind. Serve Smarter evolved from a restaurant tool into full-scale business management software. We secured an office, built a team, and even brought in venture capital. Each milestone felt like another brick laid between me and that freezing Honda Civic, and another step toward proving I'd been right all along. But I never let myself forget those nights of hunger and cold. They had carved lessons into me: resourcefulness, persistence, and the ability to turn rejection into fuel. Then, just last week, 5 years after I'd been kicked out, I opened an email that stopped me in my tracks. A job application from Marcus. Minutes later, another from my father. Turner Construction had finally collapsed, and now both of them were looking for a fresh start. They had no idea the company they were applying to belonged to the irresponsible kid they'd discarded. Tomorrow, I would be the one across the table interviewing them. The frightened 17-year-old who had slept in the back of a car was gone. In his place stood a CEO, in a corner office, overseeing a company valued at over $100 million. That morning, as the sun caught on the city's glass towers, I straightened my tie and studied my reflection in the window. Today would be the reckoning. Sir, David, my assistant, appeared at the door. Your 9 a.m. candidate has arrived. Mr. Marcus Turner. I smiled, recalling the smug expression my brother wore the night I was cast out. Give me 5 minutes, then send him in. I turned my chair toward the window, letting Marcus walk in behind me. His steps faltered before he sat down. Thanks for seeing me, he began, still carrying that same edge of arrogance. I think my background in construction management could really support smartest's next stage of growth. I swiveled around slowly. The expression on his face, shock giving way to disbelief, was everything I'd imagined. Daniel, he whispered. No way. How? That's Mr. Turner, I corrected evenly. Or CEO Turner, if you prefer. Now, about your resume. His face flushed. This is a joke. You. The kid who lived in his car. I tapped his file open on my tablet. 10 years at Turner Construction, climbing up to VP of Operations. Yet our research shows your division's losses were catastrophic. Care to explain? He shifted in his chair. The industry changed. Technology ruined everything. Technology, I repeated, raising an eyebrow. You mean the same technology one was wasting my life on? Before he could respond, my phone buzzed. Sir, David's voice came through. Your 9:30 is here early. Mr. James Turner. Perfect. Send him in. The door opened. My father walked in, hair grayer, shoulders heavier than I remembered. He froze when he saw me, then glanced at Marcus. What is this? He demanded. Have a seat, Dad, I said, gesturing to the chair beside my brother. We were just reviewing Marcus's part in Turner Construction's downfall. His jaw tightened. If this is your idea of revenge. Revenge. I laughed softly. No. This is just a professional meeting. You both applied for jobs at my company. I'm simply doing my due diligence. I rose and walked to the window, the city skyline sprawling before me. Tell me, Dad, what was it you said when you threw me out? Something about joining the real world. His silence told me he remembered. Well, this is the real world, I said, my voice steady. The world where innovation outpaces tradition. Where resilience outshines entitlement. Where the boy you cast aside built a company worth $100 million. I turned to face them both. You thought I was nothing because I wouldn't follow your blueprint. But here you are, looking for jobs in the company I built from scratch. Marcus stood, bristling. We don't need your pity. Pity. I cut in smoothly, my eyes locking onto his. This isn't pity. This is me deciding whether either of you are worth a place in my world, the same world you swore I'd never survive. No, what you need is perspective. Turner Construction is bankrupt. Your reputation in the industry is in shambles. You're unemployed, out of options, and running on fumes. So let me make you an offer. I tapped a button on my desk, and the wall screen lit up with ServSmarter's newest project. We're building software designed to transform construction, end-to-end project management, resource planning, automated scheduling. All the things your company failed to adapt to. And we need industry veterans to guide development. Dad's jaw tightened, but I caught the flicker of interest in his eyes. The businessman in him could still recognize opportunity when it stared him in the face. The pay is strong. Full benefits, I continued. But there are conditions. What kind of conditions? Dad finally asked. First, you start at entry level. No shortcuts, no special treatment. Second, you'll report directly to Ms. Chen, head of client relations. Marcus laughed. The diner lady? She's not just a diner owner, I shot back. She's a company partner. She believed in me when my own family didn't. She earned her place. Unlike some. I leaned forward, hands folded. And the final condition, you'll apologize. Not to me, but to Madeline. They stiffened instantly. Why her? Dad demanded. Because she's been carrying the shame of that night for 5 years. She used to call me in tears, blaming herself for not speaking up. She's my executive assistant now. Started in the mailroom and worked her way up. Right on cue, the door opened and Madeline walked in. No longer the timid girl on the staircase, but a confident professional. Dad and Marcus froze. Maddie, Marcus whispered. You've been here this whole time? She stood beside me, her voice steady. Someone had to stand by Daniel. Real family doesn't abandon each other. The silence that followed was heavy. I could see Dad wrestling with his pride. The choice is simple, I said at last. 2 good jobs, a second chance. Or your pride. Decide by the end of the day. And if we walk away? Marcus challenged. I smiled. Then you'll leave the way you forced me to leave, clutching nothing but your pride to keep you warm. They left without a word, their silence louder than shouting. Madeline lingered, her eyes wet. Do you think they'll take it? She asked quietly. They will, I said. Dad's too pragmatic. And Marcus has always followed his lead. I was right. By evening, both had signed on. Next week, they'd be starting as employees, learning the very technology they once dismissed. That night, I went to Ms. Chen's diner. She slid a plate of pie across the counter with her usual knowing smile. So, how'd it go? I told her everything. Dad's silence, Marcus's fury, their eventual acceptance. Are you going to forgive them? She asked softly. I thought back to the nights shivering in my car, the rejection, the relentless fight to survive. Forgiveness isn't the point, I said. They need to realize the world is bigger than their narrow version of success. Maybe this is how they'll learn. She nodded in quiet agreement. From homeless to CEO, she said. Quite a journey. I corrected gently. I wouldn't be here if you hadn't believed in me first. Outside, the sun dipped behind the skyline. Somewhere in the city, my father and brother were reckoning with their new reality. The son they had thrown away was now their boss. Sometimes the sharpest revenge isn't making people pay. It's showing them what they lost when they underestimated you. And sometimes success isn't about proving others wrong, but proving yourself right. Next week, they would clock in at my company, learning to build something lasting in the very world they once mocked. The boy who once slept in his car had built their future, and finally, he could rest knowing he had won.